What up, guys? Yeah, today we've got another beer review going on. It is, of course, it's almost the holidays. It's November now, but there's a couple I want to get in before we're just inundated with all holiday beers. I've had this in the fridge, and I've been wanting to crack it open because I haven't had it yet, but it is Duvel's single fermented Belgian golden ale. Boom. It's one of those, like, newer Duvel beers that have been coming out. You know, originally you could only find the standard Duvel big bottle. Maybe you could get it in the little one. Then more recently, you've been able to get like the triple hop or that more IPA-esque Duvel. And this is the single fermented Belgian golden ale. Have not had it yet, so I'm gonna try it. Get into it. I don't know if this is more of like an Americanized Belgian beer, or if it's just kind of traditional Belgian beer. I don't know, but we're gonna just get into it. We're gonna pour it. I do like this kind of matte black finish. It is pouring a very clear golden. I mean, this is like very, very, very crisp yellow. It's almost like mellow yellow. But yeah, you can see with the light, it's very, very see-through, more see-through than you get from your standard like fermented Belgian beer, which is normally a little more cloudy. You know, they kind of, a lot of those Belgian beers is the bottle fermented, so it's a little foggy. This is none of that. But anyways, we're going to see what this is all about. Oh, and just in case, it is 6.8% ABV. So we got that going for you. So a higher ABV for, your standard ale. But whatever, let's get into the review, get into the smell. That is, yes. It is definitely, it has more of a kind of a crisp, clean Pilsner aroma to it. You have that lemon, almost corn aroma. The dog is navigating the cords. Okay, good job, dog. I have like cords hanging out. The dog had to navigate it like an X-wing through the Death Star trench. It was just kind of woo. But yeah, very, very much like a Pilsner aroma. It doesn't have any of that like skunkiness that you might get from some Pilsners, especially that like the Western European Pilsners. Doesn't have any of that. But you definitely get that kind of weedy, corn-ish element to it. Have some of the lemon zest. I think it smells pretty good. From just smelling it, you would not guess almost 7% ABV. But yeah, I'm getting more of almost like a Pilsner kind of aroma to it. But anyways, I think it smells refreshing. I think it smells pretty interesting, so I'm going to recommend it on that. Now, let's get into the taste. All right. Yes, it is a rather refreshing beer. It's not like wheat, not like a wheat beer. It is almost. You do have a hint of that kind of Pilsner-y thing, but it's definitely has a bit of the. What am I thinking? You got a little bit of the lemon zest. You have, I'm drawing a blank on the word I want to use. It almost comes across as a bit of the almost like an Oktoberfest not of like your traditional Marzen, but more of that kind of man, I'm drawing a blank on the other style of Oktoberfest. You normally that's kind of more of a traditional. I should have. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on that. But it's more of that. It is almost like I guess it is kind of like a wheat style Oktoberfest that you might get. It has kind of that taste going on with it. Same way with the smell, but it's almost. It is almost like that. Like the lighter wheat Oktoberfest beer meets a Pilsner kind of thing. It's right in the middle of that area. Again, I'm sorry that I'm totally drawing a blank on the name. I think I blew my head open with all the Oktoberfest beers I just recently did. So I'm just I put that away and I'm just forgetting it. But it has like. There is that lemon zesty element of like a Pilsner, but it also has like the stronger wheat element to it. It is more. It is pretty crisp. I'm just fumbling over all this. It is definitely a crispness to it, but it's not as clean of a finish at the end. You have a bit of that roasted element on the very end of it. Very subtle like nuttiness to it, but there's not a lot. There's just enough there to kind of round out the edge, so it's not ultra like crisp that you might get from a wheat beer or a Pilsner, where it's just like flavor at the top and then kind of just like ends. You do have more of the that kind of smoky nuttiness very subtly at the tail end of it. But sorry, this is I think just the words I'm trying to come up with, it was just not, I was not expecting to use with this particular thing. I really had no idea what to expect, but it is very much kind of that weedy Oktoberfest beer meets the cleaner Pilsner, and it kind of blends. I think it blends very nicely. I'm definitely enjoying it, especially with that 6.8% ABV. You don't taste it at all, which makes this a very dangerous beer to pick up. I mean, this is a hair under 7%, and you're not tasting that. This tastes more like a... It tastes more like a low 5. So you got like almost 2%, 1.5 to 2% more ABV than what you're tasting. And you could go through this real quickly. And if you're not careful, it could really catch up to you. So if you picked up like a 4-pack, I think this probably sells in a 4-pack. And these are already, I mean, on the largest side. Make sure you eat dinner before you crash into these things, because they're going to catch up with you quickly. But I'm going to recommend it on the taste. I think it tastes it's nice. It's like it's a nice, crisper, not the cleanest at the end, but a crisper beer to kind of break open, especially even though, we're getting into the holiday beers. I think this is a nice kind of change of pace where you want something that's a little heavier than like a standard Pilsner, but is... still not that summertime beer. This is definitely not quite summertime beer, but it is a nice thing to crack open when you want something that's a little lighter than your porters and your barrel aged IPA stout blah / beers. I think this is a nice beer to kind of go against the grain when you want something a little different this time of year. But I mean, this isn't like a seasonal beer. I'm pretty sure it's available year round, but if you haven't had it yet, I don't know how new it is to the area, but I definitely say give it a whirl. It's definitely worth checking out. So, woo! going to give it a thumbs up on the taste. All right, next category is value price, and I mean, if you've had the Duvels before, it's about in the same vein, same price range. It costs more than your basic import. It costs a little more than like your standard British import, but it's not as expensive as some of like the German stuff. I think because Duvel also has their kind of pipeline in through ITAGAIN and Firestone Walker. I think they have kind of a bit of a pipeline in that gets them in without having to go through some of the other ones. Dog's getting into stuff. Always getting into stuff. But I mean, price is fair for what it is. So yeah, I'll recommend it for price. I think it's not to the point where it's so expensive where you're just like, I'm gonna go for something else. No, I think it's doable, especially if you just get the one. I'm pretty sure if you go to most like Total Wines or whatever, like the large kind of warehouse style liquor places, you'll get this for a fair price. But so I'll recommend it on value price. All right, next category is distinction, and I'm trying to think Belgian golden ales. What else falls into the Belgian golden ale category? I'm drawing a blank on what other ones fall into that category. But I'm gonna recommend it on distinction for the single fact that it is very drinkable. It is refreshing. It tastes great. It doesn't taste funky. It doesn't taste forced. Doesn't taste like they just kind of like decided to pump out a new beer. I think it tastes good. And so even though I'm not drawing I can't think of any other like Belgian golden ale single fermented beers to compare it to. For the fact that it tastes good, that it tastes like a well-refined beer, I'm going to recommend it for distinction just for that. So even if I could think of something to compare it to, it's done so well that even though that it's like newer, it's done well enough to the point where I'm going to recommend it just because I feel like it could probably battle with any other Belgian golden ale that's been around for a while. So, and it could probably outdo most of all of the Belgian golden ale style American beers. It tastes like something they've been working on for a long time, which they haven't. This one is new, but it tastes like something that's been around that they've been working on for like generations. So I'm going to recommend it for that. And all right, next category is drinkability, and absolutely for a beer that's about 7% alcohol, you can go through this real quick, like real quick, and like dangerously quick for the alcohol percentage. I feel like there'll be IPAs that have this about 7% ABV, and I don't know if you'll be able to crush it as quickly as this. I mean, this is one you could probably shotgun it. Maybe we'll have to start like a shotgun segment. I'm gonna have to get a place that has an outdoor area that I can actually get into that without spraying it all over the place and having to pay a giant fine to the apartment people. But yes, drinkability absolutely for 7%, and the taste. It doesn't taste like 7%. It's something you could, again, get into trouble with. So I'm going to recommend it for drinkability. And all right, last category is would I buy it again? And honestly, it's refreshing, it tastes good. It's if you want something with a higher alcohol content, it's got that. It is not skunky. I can't really see any downside to this beer. I am definitely enjoying it. The only downside would be the higher alcohol content if you don't want to go down that road. But I mean, you're getting your bang for your buck with this thing. So I'm going to recommend it for drinkability. Would I buy it again? I do think I will be purchasing this beer again. It just it checks off all the boxes for me. So yeah, and so it got all the thumbs up, all the recommendations, and all the categories, which means it gets the official 2 Dudes stamp of approval. Yeah, it's just a solid beer. But I guess, would you really expect anything else from a Duvel beer? I wouldn't. I'd be actually really disappointed if this beer sucked. Like, especially, I feel like coming from the Duvel name, it better at least be like solid to above, and it doesn't disappoint. If you are a fan of Duvel, if you're a fan of if you're a fan of Duvel and the flagship Duvel beer, you're gonna like this. The Duvel flagship beer was one of the first, like, when I was really getting into that, like import whatever beer, like 15 years ago. That was one of the first ones I was able to find. That was back when like World Market was the only place I could go to for anything different, and you had to get like the big bottle, and it was right along the line of, it was that and like the Chimay Belgian beers, like the first beers I was able to get my hands on, other than there was anything different. And so I remember pouring that first regular Duvel, and you had like the head that was like half the bottle. This does not have the same kind of head. It kind of it doesn't do that. Which, I mean, it almost looks like you have a root beer float with the head for a standard Duvel. But yeah, if you're a fan of that, you're gonna like this. I say give it a whirl. You haven't tried it out. It's got this nice slick matte black finish, and it just it tastes similar to that. So I think if you like that, you're gonna like this. So yeah, give it a whirl. But anyways, that is my review of the Duvel Single Fermented Belgian Golden Ale. Have you had it before? If you have, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. And if you're looking forward to some holiday reviews, don't worry, I will get into that shortly. I have a couple that I want to review before we get into that. But anyways, that is the review. And so for myself and for Duvel Single Fermented Belgian Golden Ale, take it easy.